The World Bank and the International Monetary Fund have just issued a joint, highly unusual alert. They are warning of an immediate disruption to global energy markets that will drive up the cost of food worldwide. This economic panic is the direct result of 6 weeks of combat between the United States and Iran. With over 3,000 Iranians reported killed and regional infrastructure under siege, the physical networks that move global goods are grinding to a halt. Washington and Tehran have agreed to a 2-week truce. Officially, the violence has been paused to allow for negotiations. Yet before the diplomatic teams have even sat down, that peace is fracturing, leaving the global economy exposed to a severe shock. The breakdown is occurring away from direct U.S. and Iranian engagement. Instead, the conflict has spilled into Lebanon, where proxy militias and regional militaries are actively exchanging fire. Overnight, Israel launched a series of strikes into Beirut. One of those strikes killed Ali Youssef Harshi, the nephew and personal secretary of Hezbollah leader Naim Qassem. In retaliation, Hezbollah launched a heavy barrage of rockets into northern Israel, citing a direct violation of the U.S.-Iran truce. In response, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu went on television to declare that his forces are ready to return to full-scale fighting at any moment, warning that Israel keeps its finger on the trigger. A diplomatic pause between Washington and Tehran carries little weight if the factions on the ground are actively pulling the region back into a shooting war. To stop the collapse, the White House has deployed Vice President JD Vance and a special delegation to lead high-stakes talks based on a 10-point proposal from Tehran. These negotiations are taking place in Pakistan. Authorities there have locked down the capital, declaring a 2-day local holiday to secure the environment for these meetings. The pressure on these talks is immense. French President Emmanuel Macron is publicly urging both the U.S. and Iran to stretch their narrow ceasefire to include Lebanon before the cross-border strikes spiral out of control. The world's top diplomats are racing against a ticking clock, attempting to negotiate a lasting peace faster than regional militias can dismantle it. The U.S. is entering these talks with an uncompromising posture. President Donald Trump has warned that the U.S. will resume shooting if Tehran does not fully comply with the agreement. That threat is backed by physical force. A massive American military footprint, fully loaded aircraft carriers, and additional weaponry remains positioned off the Iranian coast. Iran, meanwhile, refuses to back down on its nuclear program. They are maintaining uranium enrichment at 60% purity, a level experts note is just a short technical step away from weapons-grade material. The threat of total war hasn't vanished. It is heavily armed, it is nuclear adjacent, and sitting right next door. This map shows the geographical choke point at the center of this conflict, the Strait of Hormuz. It is a 21-mile wide waterway that serves as the only exit from the Persian Gulf, and roughly 1/5 of the entire planet's oil supply passes through it. Although U.S. officials claim the strait is open, the physical reality is more dangerous. Iran has issued warnings directing ships to use alternate paths due to risks in the main channel. Those risks are sea mines. Reports indicate hidden explosives have been placed in the primary shipping lanes, turning a vital trade route into a lethal hazard. As a result, fully loaded Chinese oil tankers are completely halted at the entrance. Despite the truce, these massive vessels are refusing to move. Political agreements mean nothing to global trade if the physical waterways remain paralyzed by the threat of hidden explosives. With the region's shipping lanes blocked and proxy forces trading fire, global stock and energy markets are reacting with severe volatility. Investors lack faith that this ceasefire will hold. This chart tracks West Texas Intermediate and Brent crude oil prices over the last week. When the 2-week truce was announced, prices saw a sharp 13% vertical drop, their steepest single-day fall since April 2020. But as the Lebanon strikes occurred and the Hormuz bottleneck became apparent, that trend reversed, spiking back above $97 a barrel. Driving this surge are logistical costs. Ship owners are flooding brokers with requests for specialized insurance coverage, facing massive rate hikes just to attempt transiting the area. The global market is signaling that it does not believe the ceasefire is real. The cost of that disbelief is being priced into every barrel of oil. The IMF and World Bank warnings describe a crisis that reaches far beyond the regional borders of the Middle East. The domino effect is direct. Sharp increases in oil and natural gas drive up the cost of fertilizer and transportation. Those bottlenecks translate into global food insecurity, hitting the world's most vulnerable populations the hardest. The success of the JD Vance delegation in Islamabad, or the persistence of the Israel-Hezbollah proxy war, will determine the cost of shipping and manufacturing in the coming months. A lasting peace depends on more than just signatures. It requires a waterway free of mines and a northern border free of rockets. Until that happens, the price of the world's most essential goods remains tied to the security of this 21-mile channel.